We have very important business to deal out, lads. Continuing on this podcast, it's time to dish out our cods of the season.
This fella Ronaldo is a cod. I don't care if he scores.
I thought he was fucking dreadful.
Rod Liddell, he's the guy who ran away and left his wife for a young one.
Now we're going to see a lot of familiar themes in this. So, Neil, would you like to serve up what has been your favourite dish this season? I think it's fair to say. Yes, a bit of a Spanish paella of sorts, if you will.
Absolutely, Spanish shit paella. My card of the week, card of the year, has been Barcelona. From top to bottom, a fucking dumpster fire of just absolute garbage. I just culminating in an 8-2 loss to Bayern Munich that was scarcely believable.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
they were
so rewarding.
So great to see, but
yeah,
they were just utterly, completely tonked, and so. Just Barcelona are now attempting to go into a rebuild with Ronald Koeman.
But let's be clear here, right? The reason that they're going for Ronald Koeman, again, this is the same issue they've had. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually quite like Koeman as a coach. He's done really well with the Dutch squad.
But he turned the job down 7 months ago.
This is the point I was going to make. This is the point I was going to make. See, Koeman is still not their first choice manager. They still want Xavi to take the job first, but Xavi will say no. And then they asked, and they're curious enough, they asked Carlos Puyol to take the job, and he said no as well. He's happy to stay where he is as a youth coach. So they're trying to do like this internal promotion, like the Guardiola switch they did years ago, and no one's biting. And then they kept going further afield, and I do know that the Pochettino, of course, they wanted to get him in, but of course he's an Espanol fucking elitist, so he's not going to
make quite a number of disparaging comments about
yes.
Barcelona. It's like he ain't getting the fucking job.
Do you know who else they tried to ask when I was searching up for Barcelona bullshit? They inquired about Jurgen Klopp to take over the Barcelona job, right? They're one of the presidential candidates who's likely to get in to replace Bartolomeo. Said like if he gets in, he'll sign Jurgen Klopp. Which is like right up there with "Let's make America great again" when it comes to
it's nuts.
Slogans.
Well, like the club are completely crazy. So they're broken. They're in a complete sham, and they need to clear out.
Yeah.
So Bartomeu is now taking the baton. He's decided to actually be somewhat presidential, considering that this is his last term and he's not getting in again. I don't think he can actually.
He can't. No, it's the same as he only can serve 3 or 4 terms.
Yeah.
I think.
So, and any kind of continuity candidate will just not get in because he will not want to be associated with him. So he's decided to take a firm hand, take the baton and go for it. So he said he's going to clear out those who are mostly responsible.
Including himself, I presume.
Which will be himself and the coach that they just hired 7 months ago. And
the sporting director, I assume, which is the person outside of Eric Abidal.
Yeah, so the sporting director, Eric Abidal, and his right-hand man, Plains, they're going to conduct extensive transfer business. And this is all nice. It's the sound. It's like it's decisive.
Rhetoric.
Except for that 24 hours after he said it, Abidal left.
Oh yeah, left.
And so like essentially, basically, they put the entire Barcelona team up for sale.
Yeah, more or less.
So yeah, but nobody's going to buy any of them. So I'm just trying to think. I'm looking at the interview because Bartomeu was actually quite like open and frank when he said, "All right, who's up for sale? Oh, sorry, who's not for sale?" And he said,
"There's only 6 players, which I recall are
Messi, Ter Stegen." Messi, Ter Stegen, Lenglet, Semedo, Fati. It's Frankie de Jong. We couldn't remember his first name. It's Frankie.
Yes, Frankie de Jong. Yes.
Frankie de Jong. For some weird reason, Griezmann and Dembele were on that list as well, despite the fact that they've not played Griezmann and Dembele's been injured for longer than anybody's ever.
What about Martin Braithwaite or whatever his name is?
Indispensable. He's now the new coach. He's the new head coach of Barcelona.
Oh, yeah. So they've quite pointedly did not mention like Suarez, Busquets, Alba, Rakitic. Although they've been trying to get rid of Rakitic for fucking ages. Piqué, Vidal, Coutinho is a maybe, although they've been trying to get rid of Coutinho for fucking ages. That's why they put him out on loan to Bayern Munich for him to score 2 goals against them. So like it's totally broken. Like, but the thing about it is that like it's good enough to it's fine to put all these players up for sale, but who's going to fucking buy them?
Yeah.
But take for instance, right? Chelsea are looking for a left back, right? We all know this. So Barca are selling a left back. They're selling Alba. So yeah, you're going to go, okay then. Why would Chelsea go for him? He's 31. Chelsea, he's still got a few years left on his contract, so they're going to have to cough up a fee. Then they're going to have to match his salary, which is 11 million quid a year. All for a player who's best.
I can see the problem.
What is he?
31.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And also all for a player whose best career moment was in the Euro 2012 final. Yeah. Now, would they go for him, or would they go for Sergio Reguilon from Sevilla?
Or, as the case may be, Ben Chilwell.
Exactly. Or Ben Chilwell, yeah. I mean, like, you could get Reguilon for about 25-30 million. He'd be on a quarter of the wages. And the Sunday of all of this happening, he was slicing up the Manchester United defence like a fucking piece of bacon.
Yep.
You know, again, they want to get rid of Busquets. Who the fuck would take him? His contract is 16 million quid a year, and it runs up until 2023. You know, they've been talking about
Busquets. The list just goes on.
They've been talking about Busquets going to City because him and Guardiola shared the same agent. But like they were talking about that since 2016.
Yeah, it's not happening.
You know, it's not fucking happen. And also, City have Rodri. Why put Rodri out? He was their big summer signing big summer 2019 signing for somebody who's fucking 32.
Yeah.
You know, it's absolutely terrible. Like, it's fucking horrible. So many people are on that. So many people are on huge fucking wages there. Rakitic is on 9 million a year. Suarez, Rakitic is on 9 million a year. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Suarez, right, granted, on his day, he's probably one of the best finishers not around. But he's 33. He's got another year left in his contract. His contract pays him 15 million quid a year. Vidal, who still can't believe he's even at Barcelona because fuck knows what he does. Maybe he's nice.
Provides the cocaine.
Yeah. I reckon he can chop a fucking lion. And he'd want it because his contract has another year or two to run, and he's on 9 million a year.
This is all of their making because like they did really just like believe their own hype and gave these people such exuberant wages. It was a Galacticos like fault. We're Barcelona. We are the best team. Let's sign.
There's no plan to really replace these players with anybody. They keep spending huge sums of money. The last three transfer windows, they've splurged over 100 million quid, so over 9 figures on one player in each window, and none of them have started in the last couple of games. Griezmann hasn't made it off the bench. He's been usurped by Martin Braithwaite, of all people. Coutinho was last seen scoring 2 goals against them in the fucking Champions League semi-final.
And as we're speaking, lifting the Champions League trophy with his loan club.
Currently
so happy.
Champions League trophy with his loan club. Right.
Muller is actually hugging him all around the fucking podium. Like Muller will not let him leave. He wants to adopt Philippe Coutinho.
And the third player is Dembele. He's been injured for almost an entire year.
And was there Neymar replacement that never replaced Neymar because
Exactly.
he wanted to re-sign Neymar last season?
And it's absolutely crazy. Like, you're not going to get anywhere. Their wage bill is 530 million quid a year.
Yeah, it's absurd.
They spend half a billion a year on wages. And I've
that's sick.
loan.
Yeah, they had to take a loan out to pay the wages.
It's fucking crazy. Like, they turn over. They're even now with COVID, they're looking to turn over $750 million, but they've no money fucking left. You know, the directors, they're in tatters. Half of them aren't there. They need 24 of them. They've only got about. Been crazy. It's man, they're just like, and they can't get rid of all these players. So the Middle East and the USA aren't throwing around all the money. China is enacting new sporting laws. So they can't toss huge amounts of cash anywhere else. You know, I mean, it's all well for players like PK to say, "Oh, I'll be the first to leave if it benefits the club." But where would he go? Who would take these players?
Listen, no one's they'd have to go to like, as you say, like the only clubs that would happily take them is the Middle East, and purely for like a sports washing principle is to say like, we have got Xavi, we have got Busquets or whatever it is, like, you know, it's
so it's mad. I'm like, funnily enough, like PK was there, I'll be the first to leave if it helps the club. But when the club approached the players with taking a wage cut, like they revolted. It's like, okay, then you're willing to move on, but you're very unwilling to do like games like Bartomeu a favour by foregoing money that they've been promised. And you could take the Roy Keane approach of, look, you've signed the contract, that's what you're owed, that's what you're worth, and that's what you should get paid. Take your fucking money, give it. It's not up to you to take a pay cut to help anybody else. But it's just awful. Like, I don't see. Wow, like it's just fucking terrible. Like, you know, I have no idea what the fuck they're gonna do. Like, I just like it's crazy. They base minimum, they need to slice 300 million out of their wage bill.
Yeah, that's not happening. And again, you know, like let's be clear here. Like, Real Madrid are more or less in the same boat here. It's just that Barcelona have been the more banterous of the two. Like, it is just, it seems to be an element of the super clubs at the moment, outside of perhaps Munich. Munich seem to have got their act together a bit, and maybe PSG.
All of La Liga is just a fucking clusterfuck.
Yeah, it does look like that. Yeah,
Atletico don't know which way is up. I mean, like, Real, only for the fact that they've got Zidane in place. Like, the thing about Barcelona is that they've nobody with any kind of star power. You know, to kind of walk in and who can sideline these kind of great stars, because they won't listen to them. But like Real have Zidane. Like, you can like Zidane stood up to Ronaldo the first time as well. Like, you could have only gotten Zidane to turn around to Ronaldo and got him to change how he played, because Ronaldo's like, oh, I'll play the way I want to. Fuck you. What do you know? And then I was like, well, who's going to tell this guy and make him listen? And then they're like, oh, Zidane. Like, you know, and Zidane just walked to the dressing room and go, you play the way I play, want you to play, or I'll leave you on the fucking bench. And he was like, oh, shit, it's Zizou. I'm going to listen to this guy. Yeah. You know, and same thing. Zidane's taking a hard line with players like Bale that he doesn't consider to be working very hard, although I don't know how he came to this conclusion. And James Rodriguez as well. He's just sidelined them. He sidelined them and kept the fans on side, which I think is quite a good thing. And which is the only reason why Real aren't the kind of clusterfuck that Barcelona have. I'm like, okay, then they're sidelining Bale, who's on 24 million quid a year.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Well, but again, this is what's happening at all these super clubs. They're just hemorrhaging money left, right, and centre.
24 million quid, and he's another 2 years left on his contract.
And he'll run it out.
Oh no, he's getting paid. He's getting paid like
to play golf.
You to play golf, you know.
He's
getting paid 2 million quid a month to play fucking golf. He shows up, he trains, he goes home, he plays golf.
Yeah, great. What a life he lives.
You know, that's it. And like all the talks that they try to appease to his like athletic nature. It's like, oh, you know, you really should be playing football. Go somewhere else and play it. It's like, I don't give a fuck.
Nah, mate. I am playing sport. What do you think this is?
Exactly, sports ball.
Sports ball. Speaking of sports ball, Burkball. The FAI. Talk to us about the FAI.
Well, they've been my COD, and they, along with John Delaney, have been my COD's nominations a lot this season, and for various different things, depending on which day of the week you're talking about, they've done something.
This is the FAI we're not talking about, by the way, not Fianna Fáil, just to be clear.
Well, they're kind of one of...
They're very similar.
It's difficult to tell. Oftentimes, it's difficult to tell where one ends and the other begins.
Like, which side of the brown envelope are we talking about?
Yeah, true. What golf dinner?
Yeah. So yeah, no, like the FAI are a fucking shambles. The restarting of the league, just kind of the most recent, I suppose, thing was like severely delayed and kind of staggered in terms of getting things in place for the teams to actually get back training and playing, because the FAI couldn't agree on if they can pay the players or not. And when you see the likes of John Delaney were complaining that his job prospects have been severely limited by the fact that he's got this bad reputation, because when he earned something like, was it 410? Hold on, I'll just see if I have the exact figure. Yeah, so, sorry, €430,000 a year, which was double the FAI like winning, the FAI League, League of Ireland winning amount is like, he's getting paid that, and now he's complaining he can't find another job because of, you've given me a bad reputation. Currently, I suppose the big issue is the government are being asked to get involved, as well as the Gardaí, into the finances of the FAI. So the kind of most recent development in their shitstorm show. Yeah, is that the Gardaí have been asked to get involved in investigating the finances, because there's been internal investigations into the funding, and there has been external but severely hindered investigations into the sources of the funding for the association. And yeah, the government have been involved. John Delaney had to stand in front of the Oireachtas last year and kind of say, like, I gave 100 grand to the league out of my own pocket, and I did it. It's fine. It was all fine. It was grand. And it was like, well, he gave that money so that the league looked like it was in profit. So on the books, the league looked like it was on profit, but in actual fact, they were making huge losses.
No losses which showed up on the. Here's where the investigation comes in, because the losses didn't really show up on the accounts, but the accounts every year have to be signed off by the board. So they signed off. They were signing off on what they knew were deliberately fraudulent accounts, and you're kind of going, "Oh, this is like prisonable." Illegal. Like, this is like not, you get a slap in the wrist and you're not allowed to be a CEO for the next 5 years. Like, this is, they lock you up for this shit, because it's fraud.
Yep.
So we have got Niall Quinn now sitting in as deputy CEO of the FAI, and the newest CEO of the FAI, and if it's anything like the Minister of Agriculture at the minute, it will be gone in a few weeks. We've got Jerry McEnany as head, who is going to try and say, like, but the money was just resting in our accounts. But one of the things that actually had to be done is the government has had to step up during this COVID to provide assurances that the FAI can stay afloat. And the reason that this had to happen, that the government had to step in, is to actually ensure that Ireland are able to play in the Euro 2020 playoffs. Yeah. Because that was actually in doubt. If they can't afford to play the players, or, the coaching
the
staff,
bonuses
or,
as well, the promotion, the qualification bonuses as well.
Exactly, yeah. That was in doubt. So the Irish government have now had to step in, which is just fucking shambolic for us.
Because Sport Ireland won't fund them any longer.
Yeah, they've completely burnt their bridges with Sport Ireland because of all of the illegal shit they've been doing.
Exactly, yeah. So Sport Ireland, which is kind of like the delineator of all of the sporting funding in the country, are like, no, you're not getting anything. Which I'd say is quite fucking awkward, given that I live across the road from the Sport Ireland campus, and the FEI building is in the Sport Ireland campus, right next to the Sport Ireland administration building. So they actually do have to walk by one another's offices. So to walk by the offices of a subsidiary that you're going, you are such crooked fucks. We are no longer giving you any money.
I love that. Just walking past the campus. Hey, Jerry, cunt.
The spray paint rat on the front of the building.
Jerry, was it you that left the shit on my desk? No, it was Mary. Oh, it was Mary. I was wondering where the corn came from.
He's taking it in turns there.
Yeah. So we have a rota. Yeah.
So go for it. Yeah.
So
that's my my pick, because they've just done absolutely nothing to help Irish football. I've newly just joined the association and I've paid my membership dues, and now I'm like, fuck this. Actually, fuck this. Cop the fuck on, lad. Can't believe I paid you 35 quid.
It's good to know that you don't rate your career prospects whatsoever, that you're happy to blag the FAI, just in case you're close to a nomination for the team. Fuck it.
The thing is, we all know now that if I don't make the Irish women's squad,
we now know it's corruption. Yeah, it's corruption.
Yeah, it's all corruption, lads. Yeah, they don't like me speaking the truth.
I like that. I like that you claim the centre of the ring immediately. I like that. Very good strategy. You're a born number 6. I've always said that you're a born number 6. So, right. So that leaves me then, and I've had a few choices here, right? But I'm going to go for something that I haven't actually submitted this year because something funnier came up. But I am going to submit something that has annoyed me throughout the year, like a really kind of aggregated irritants, right? And I'm going to nominate football Twitter, right? So Twitter generally is a cesspool. I don't think it really goes without saying. I mean, just last week we were accused of breaking an embargo. I mean, that goes without saying. But football and Twitter is not only the worst part of Twitter, but I think it's just the worst part of society, full stop. Because literally every fan base looks bad in it. And it's not even the fact that it's ironic at this point. Literally everyone looks like a cunt. And the gas thing it is just like a 19-year-old unemployed stoner who wanks 3 times a day, has a couple of thousand followers on Twitter.
Only 3, Jesus.
I know. Well, on average. I am including the incels in that, Neil. So, they have a couple of thousand followers. They have a picture of Mane as their profile picture, and they think they're hot shit. And this is, I wanted to bring this to the attention because throughout the year there have been just so many instances of football Twitter cannibalizing itself. During the lockdown, we had the Null and Void Brigade, as we called it. Just this collection of Man United fans, Chelsea fans, Man City fans, Everton fans, all collecting each other to become this weird, fleshy maw of prick. Just because they just wanted to find a way. They were trying to pick through the laws of the game to prove that because the league was suspended because of a pandemic, it can't be restarted. And they started justifying it with their own reason. We're only putting the players at risk if they're if the league comes back. I mean, Mikel Arteta already has the coronavirus. We can't go again if the manager has it. What if the manager sprays it in a fucking dressing room? We can't have that happen. What if handshakes are banned? Handbrakes are so British. We can't change it. We can't get rid of the handshake. It's ludicrous. Null and void the league. They're just bending over backwards to literally eat their own arses in order to find a reason to stop Liverpool winning the league. And again, this is not a Liverpool us versus them brigade here, because I'm also nominating Liverpool Twitter in that. This is the season I turned against the bastards, right? I know I sung their praises a few times for their meme quality and how funny they can be. This time they've jumped the shark, right? Because of Thiago Alcantara. Okay, amongst other things. Well, actually, no, it's a 2-prong approach. Number one, they don't even know we have a women's team, which is hilarious. I've seen one stand for the Liverpool's women's team, and I'm fairly sure it's a parody account. And that says a lot for what is a massive fan base for Liverpool, right? Not one Not one of them is kicking up a stink about the women's team. If anything, it's actually the journalists around them, like Melissa Reddy and James Pearce and Paul Joyce. They're the ones that are leading the fight for Liverpool women's team that matters. Not one fucking fan. Now, again, ironically enough, with the Nike deal, that is actually starting to improve. So you must have a few bots on the go here, like moving up the traffic a bit. But the crazy thing is that I've seen 2 instances this week, right, where basically they're reasoning that Thiago must be signed because Gini is not good enough for Liverpool, right? And I saw a thread from this prick who basically proves stats-wise why Gini Wijnaldum is such a bad player. And if anything, he says has been bluffing his way through in a Premier League team.
Nicking a
living. When he's been starting every game for the team that won the Champions League, the Club World Cup, and the Premier League all in the calendar year. It just feels like if he is nicking a living, surely we must ask questions of the other players because, like, it's almost as if, like, let me actually remind me again. Who scored the 2 goals in the semi-final against Barcelona where we completely pulled our pants up? It was actually Wijnaldum. Holy shit! He came on as a sub because he was pissed off not starting, and what happened? He scored 2 fucking crucial goals. Isn't that funny how that works? Isn't it? It's almost as if he can score goals when he's told to score goals.
Yeah, it's like if he's got a role in the team that is to do one thing and he's being criticised for not doing something random else.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fuck off.
Right, okay. So you compare this thing and say, like, well, Thiago give us an extra dimension to the midfield. I'm not saying he doesn't. He's a brilliant player. I've just seen him win the Champions League here. He's fantastic. Does it mean I want to sell Wijnaldum as a result? Not necessarily. Because it's always a case of, and this is what's happened to Liverpool Twitter over the last year. So now that they've become Premier League champions, it is a seriously strong case of the grass is greener. You know, so they're looking at like, oh, we have to sell Milner. We have to evolve. We have to keep jumping. It's like, no, hold on. Like, this is extenuant. This is extraordinary circumstances. Like, the best thing to do is to keep the team as best you can stable. Make 1 or 2 changes here and there. Not like completely break up the band just because your first album was a fucking banger. Like, that's not how this works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is not how footballing dynasties happen. Like, it's not as if like fucking, okay, Leicester's a bad example here, but they literally sold all their star players in one go outside of Vardy. You know, like Chelsea don't do this. Chelsea try and keep all their star players when they can. Like Man United are the same way. Man United went through nearly fucking 2 generations with the same team practically because that's what they do. The other one I was going to mention on top of this was Loris Karius. The dilemma we have about this, right? So Liverpool Twitter have completely turned against Adrian, right, in the space of 12 months, where like he came in and everyone said, sure signing, bargain, great goalkeeper. Remember that fucking FA Cup win against Everton where he threw his gloves in the penalty shootout? Love him, always rated him, right? Then suddenly he fucks up the match against Atletico, right? Hated him, never liked him, never trusted him. So you should have Kelleher in goal instead. Even I don't care if he had a broken hand. He was better than Adrian, right? All this shit kicks off. And then the cherry on top was that Adrian put out a video of him. I think it was like whatever kind of like PR stuff he was doing, holding his 3 medals that he won, which is the Super Cup, the Premier League, and the Club World Cup. And everyone just went like, mate, you're like an extra from Coronation Street. Fucking give it over. Like, you're not fucking Ken Barlow. Calm the fuck down, like. And it just like, now there's people justifying keeping Karius as number 2 over Adrian because he's younger. He's looking better in one video of preseason training. And completely neglecting the fact that, like, he got ditched by Besiktas for being too shit at being a goalkeeper. I don't understand it. I don't know what's happened to my club that the fan base has suddenly turned into fucking Trumpians. Like, they've just been, has Breitbart come in and invaded Liverpool and when I wasn't watching, like, what happened? Like, why is this shit? I
know with the Arsenal Twitter stands, it's kind of similar kind of retardedness, I suppose would be the word I would go with here. In terms of like transfer rumors and stuff, where like this new Gabriel guy was touted as being a signing that we were made, and then it was like, oh, why would we want to buy him when we've got Pablo Mari after being bought? It's like, yeah, he can't walk, you fuckers. Like, he's had surgery. there's logic to this that you
Yes.
are purposely not seeing, or
Yeah, that's
I
all
don't
it
know,
is.
like I like to have my defenders have 2 working feet. You know,
Does
when
generally.
when most popular, you know, when most possible. Like Twitter, football Twitter is a fucking cesspit of. And one of the things I've actually noticed, because I follow a lot of, you know, obviously women's soccer Twitter people, and I wanted to see what the verdict was on the match, so I kind of looked up the hashtag of the UEFA Champions League, and there was actually a lot of very angry men, very, very angry men, or what claimed to be men, angry at the fact that women were playing football. Like, how dare they not be in a kitchen? I'm like, obviously the only woman you've ever seen is your mother, so, you know, get the fuck out of there. And, you know, it was fucking annoying. Anyway, that was another thing for another day, but football Twitter and generally men in general are shit.
All men are bastards. Let's not forget that. All men are bastards. But no, like another one I was going to throw in here was Man City Twitter, because they are so hilariously plastic. It's not even funny. They are now celebrating the fact that they've beaten UEFA in a court deal, and are now saying we can spend as much money as we want. As if, fellas, that's not how this works, right? You literally got away with it because UEFA didn't deal with it at the first point of asking, and have literally just entertained this because a German newspaper commanded them to. This is not.
They got away with it. They got away with it because they delayed it for so long that it went past the statute of limitations. I mean,
this is
if
it.
If you look at the court listings, like the verdict and everything like that, like they admitted to that. Like they pled guilty to the obstruction of the case.
Yeah.
Like to turn around, like everything that they've said was a complete lie. The whole thing was like UEFA, they're just ignoring a comprehensive and clear-cut body of evidence that we have presented to them. And then it gets to CAS, and then they go, oh yeah, we'll plead guilty to obstruction. Like, hang on, what? You can't, no, you can't do that. Because, and I guarantee you, they just turned, their lawyers have said to that, just like, here, plead guilty to this, it's a 10 million quid fine. Do you accept cash? And because you've gotten off on the rest of it, because you've gone past the statute of limitations for 2. They were initially up on 5 things. 1 couldn't be proven. They pled guilty to the other, and I think 3 were past statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Just going like, for fuck's sake! Like you admitted they got off on the grounds of corruption by obstructing it past the point where they could be charged, and then admitted to the obstruction. I don't understand how you can get away with that. Like it's.
Well, even celebrating it is what I can't understand.
Because why not? I'm like, in all fairness, they're not exactly too wrong. They can do what they want. Like, they've just made shite of FFP. No. Now, don't get me wrong. Initially, the whole purpose of FFP, the reason why all the big clubs signed into FFP was to protect their hegemony, because you can't apply laws in retrospect. So, like, they were like, all the clubs like Chelsea, City, PSG, you know, the clubs with the huge state-owned, they're basically backed by sovereign funds. They were like, well, FFP will stop anybody else with doing what we did. So but they can't stop us now that we're in there like a fucking growth. So they went with FFP, not because of any kind of benign or any kind of virtue or anything like that. They just wanted people to not be able to repeat the trick that they had pulled.
Pretty much, yeah.
And now they've just turned around and completely laid waste to FFP. So the whole purpose of financial fair play is just to keep the lower or the less rich clubs in check. Well, they can do whatever they fucking want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All they've done is just
galvanize money in the women's game as well to buy in fucking amazing players that I'm not jealous of at all.
But this is it. They're just acquiring the shiniest things. At least you can say that about them.
Yeah, I'm half expecting City to just field the entire US women's team.
That is possible.
They could afford it, to be fair.
They could afford it, and you're just sitting there going like, oh shit, yeah. City have signed Julie Ertz and Megan Rapinoe, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, This isn't even fun.
not even fair. Like,
yeah, it's not even fair. Like, they just totally cheat coded it. Like,
yeah, it's bollocks. And again, I will finish off my rant with the cherry on top, which is Bernardo Silva, right?
Oh yes, his he took on all of Liverpool Twitter, didn't he?
Yes, he fought the law and the law won. Because he gives off going like, all these Liverpool fans giving me shit for being knocked out by Leon. What happened to you in the last 16? And then the top comment is, here's you singing about Hillsborough.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, and like that's shut down completely.
Like at what point you kind of have to wonder about, like, sometimes with footballers going on, do they actually, do they actually know what goes on, like, in the footballing world? Like, because it's kind of weird, like, because like I boxed for ages and I watched a lot of boxing, so I understood kind of what went on. So
how it works.
I'm always curious as to how much football professional footballers actually watch.
Well, if you're Steph Houghton, none.
Yeah, but this is just my point. Like, or how much they think about football. Like, did they just watch it as a kind of like at a base level where they just don't, or it's just people kicking a ball, and unless it's me and I'm on the pitch, I don't give a fuck about it. It's kind of really weird. Like, this goes back to actually, funnily enough, this kind of goes back to some of the Barcelona transfers that I was talking about. Like, I was going to use Griezmann as an example, but he is a demonstrably stupid person. So my point doesn't really stand, because you could claim that he's just too dumb to know the difference. But when you get to people like Coutinho, when Coutinho was going to Barcelona, right? It's a stupid, right? Obviously, he's getting paid like a fucking horrendous amount of money, but they can't all be like, I think it was Makelele that said, like, when he moved out, or was it Essien who said, when he was asked, like, you went from a team that you're playing every single week in, week out in, and now you're not playing that often. Like, do you get upset? And he goes, I do, but then I look at my bank balance and then I'm happy. Because he moved team. I think it was Essien or Makelele, whatever. But in any case, I don't think he was swayed by the cash. I think he genuinely wanted to play for Barcelona. But the problem is that he plays in the number 10 position, and he can't play anywhere else. Like, Liverpool tried to play him on the left, didn't work. Tried to play him on the right where he could go on to his left, it didn't work. He can only play in that kind of pocket.
Yes.
And he's brilliant there. But the thing is that he was being signed to go to Barcelona, and Barcelona already had a player in that position. It's a guy called Lionel. Yeah, a guy called Lionel Messi.
Oh, Martin Braithwaite. Yeah.
But like, you're going to a team where they've literally the greatest player to have ever played the sport who plays in your position, and you kind of wonder, like, does he watch football and know this? Like, did he genuinely think he was going to walk into Barcelona and usurp Lionel Messi?
No, again, it was the delusion of it all. They promised him he'll be the next Iniesta. It's like, you know who Coutinho is,
yeah,
right?
But also, they would have said something like this to Coutinho, and he surely would have gone, well, I know about...
Yeah, but you're forgetting who his agent is, though, Neil.
Yeah, but agents can't fool players totally into going like, I am better than Messi, or I'm going to be Iniesta when I play when I have literally never in my entire life.
I genuinely think they are so sheltered within their own little bubbles of support.
This is what I'm talking about. I was like, what? Like, did he ever watch Barcelona before? Like, what did they say to him when he signed to convince him that he was going to play? Like, because he's been an absolute fucking disaster. They spent 160 million, well, now 165 million, 165 million quid on him to win the Champions League with a different team.
Can you imagine the poor fucker in the Barcelona finance department that has to PayPal 5 million to Michael Edwards tomorrow morning?
Can you imagine being Bartomeu, who fucking sanctioned the deal to begin with? And also sanctioned the loan deal. Yeah. In the meantime, Jarabjian is there. But this is my point. Like, at what stage? Like, what did he do? Like, again, I was tempted to use Griezmann as an example. But then again, Griezmann is a demonstrably very stupid person. So I can imagine that he would have fooled himself into thinking that he was going to swan into Barcelona and just be the shit. Whereas if he watched Barcelona, he's like, well, there's nobody does what I do at Atletico in Barcelona.
But Neil, But Neil, how could he be a demonstrably stupid person when he made the decision to stay at Atletico for a year?
You're thinking like, holy fuck, like this guy's a fucking dummy. Like Dembele, I get it. Like he was going to Barcelona, he was coming from virtually nowhere, and he was going there, and he was going to be the next hot shit. And also, there's no place to. He was super young, and there's no better place to grow your trade or to grow your skills than at Barcelona. You can go somewhere else if you wanted to. But like, this is what I mean about like players, like when they make, because constantly, like Arsenal are in a fight now to try and keep Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who's a player we really like, and his main concern is that he's not going to get enough game time. And we can't, as Arsenal, I know Liverpool, and I say you can give us more detail on that, but Arsenal, we constantly lose players as a result of, oh, well, I'm not first choice, so I'm going to go somewhere else who, I'm going to go somewhere where I will be, or, what have you done for me lately? Give me more game time, that type of shit. Or players not coming to Arsenal because they're like, I'm not going to walk straight to starting 11. I was like, when these players go to clubs like Barcelona and stuff like that, and I was like, is that not on their mind? I was like, it's just weird. It was a bit of an aside. That'll probably
you're right, because I do feel like Man City players generally are sheltered because they have really bought into this cult-like fascination of like, UEFA hate us, we must win everything. And just like, and then having this, again, they have this very odd obsession with Liverpool. And I think it comes from Guardiola in this, again, this weird like inner jealousy of Klopp and how he does things and how Klopp seems to just enjoy his job.
I think it all stems from that season where Liverpool ran City so close.
Yeah.
Then City won the league, but Liverpool won the Champions League.
That hurt them.
And
that really
we were even saying that on this podcast. It was like, I guarantee you Pep would have given his left nut to reverse that decision. To swap places. They would have happily lost the league because they'd already won it at that point, beforehand, in the season before. Or maybe the season before that. I'm not sure. They'd already won it before, but they'd have happily given up the league to have won the Champions League because that's all Pep cares about.
Yeah, like I find it great because like in the last few seasons we've tonked City in the league games, mostly at home in a way fairly different manner. But like the home games have been just like us really enjoying ourselves against like City, like kind of like again by being physically more domineering, but also being a bit more like cheeky. Like there is a case of like Robertson, like, giving Sterling the cheeky elbow off the field, or like Gomez just lifting the child Sterling up off the ground and moving him somewhere. So much so that this carried over onto the fucking England team, and Joe Gomez got booed because England fans are fucking racist. But again, that's
in all fairness, like if Raheem Sterling's going to get abuse for anything, it's going to be about his miss against the
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Like, but how do you blaze a ball over from 2 yards?
I don't know, man. Ronnie Rosenthal is spinning in his grave right now.
It's just hilarious. There's a brilliant. Did you see the reaction clip of it's Micah Richards? Who else? Who else did BT get on for the fucking Champions League?
Oh, Steve McManaman.
Yeah, McManaman and Richards, right? Their reaction of that miss is fucking good.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're cheering before he's hit it. Because the instant the ball leaves, it's Gabriel Jesus who does the cross. It's a brilliant cross now. It's fucking wonderful. And the way he just whips the cross in, and Micah Richards starts cheering because when Jesus hits the ball, he's looked down and has seen that Sterling's at the back post and there's no one near him. And not only that, but if any of the other Lyon players had turned and seen Sterling, they weren't getting to him before the ball was. So he starts cheering. He's like, this is a fucking goal. It's a fucking goal. And then the fucking reaction when Sterling has hit it over. And it's just, oh man, like he set a new standard. I remember Ken Early was talking about it on the second Captain's podcast, and it's like, wherever balls are being blazed over the bar, into the name of Raheem Sterling. The name of Raheem Sterling will be called. Oh my God, he's Sterling! How did he do that? But it's just,
yeah.
And again, I think we pointed out in the last one, like Lineker going, "Oh, he's hit that too well." I was like,
he's not the type of player.
He's hit it too well. Is there a right or wrong way to finish from 2 yards out? 2 yards.
It turns out there is.
It's like, 2 yards out. 2 yards out with the goalkeeper on the other side of the goal. Like, cause it's like if the goalkeeper's right there, I'll be like, all right, then fine. He's gonna mash you. He's gonna fucking mash you out of it. That's great. He's not, because the ball's got past the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's gone for the cross and fucked it. You know, just like, what are you? It's brilliant. It's getting in the way.
Yeah. So, down to the business at hand, the cut of the season. So,
this thing.
Oh shit! Yes. Yeah, sorry,
Neil.
Who's your? Will have to be cut out.
Yeah, I know. We'll keep it in. This is part two. This is a two-parter now at this rate. So, Neil, what is your pick for cut of the season?
I'm gonna go all Patriots on this shit. I'm gonna go with the FAI.
Interesting.
Because it's just that's gonna cripple Irish football for a huge amount of time.
Yeah, I think what they're saying.
I wouldn't be surprised if our children are kind of still seeing the sort of ripple effects from what we've lived through. If they're like, oh, holy shit, like, you know, they're looking at the FEI as this kind of blundering, corrupt, decrepit organization going, fuck me, how did this all start? And we're like, well, actually, let me tell you.
Well, back in my day, there was a League of Ireland.
Yeah, started with...
we had a football league, we did. With such teams like Shamrock Rovers and Bohemians. They're dead now.
But I mean, when it gets to the point where, like, you know, your fairly highly rated UEFA ranked team won't be able to play in international tournaments, you done fucked up, you know.
Yes.
I'm like it's hilarious. Everybody criticizes like the African associations for their just endemic corruption, and for a lot of part they're true. But their teams aren't getting almost booted out of their fucking tournaments as a result.
That's true. Yeah, that is very true.
Like you're worse than them. Like,
so I'm also going to endorse your candidate, Neil, which is Barcelona. I think I actually call them Banterlona from now on.
They've just been hashtag Banter Club, like. And
I long may it continue. As much as I actually do quite like Ronald Koeman, just generally, I like him as a guy.
But like,
he's just it's a poison chalice. Like, it's a poison chalice.
He's turned down the job. I don't know what they've said to him in the 7 months since to make him go back and go. They must have told him, look, you will have almost total free reign.
Has to have been that.
Has to have been. But even then, like, they won't have any money.
Yeah, this is it.
Like they're spunking $500 million a year, over $500 million a year on wages.
That
like 530 million. That's their wage bill. Like, you can't do anything. Like the average wage at Barcelona for a 25-man squad is 20 million a year.
Neil, please, my liver can't take this over these.
Like, what can you do with that? And they all at the very least have 12 months on their fucking contract. None of them are coming to an end, you know. And nobody's going to want to buy that shit. So like I don't know what he's going to. Maybe he'll do with the last time. When was the last Dutch manager Barcelona had? Was it
Frank Rijkaard?
Was it Rijkaard? Where he just basically tried to fill the team with nothing but Dutch players.
Well, actually, that was Louis van Gaal who did that.
That was Van Gaal that did that, yeah. He basically just tried to sign nothing but Dutch players.
It's what Cruyff did. I mean, that worked. We'll have to do it again, clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything we know now. That leaves the Burkbot then. So you're either the kingmaker or the draw maker at this point.
Oh, as much as I am loving the actual ripping of Barcelona, I got really, really fucking pissed off at the fucking gobshites on Twitter, just hurling vile abuse at women for just existing. So I had myself in a nice, safe bubble, and then I ventured into the land of hashtags. And
why?
I've retreated.
You're smarter than that. You're smarter than this.
But I have to go with football Twitter for this.
Yeah. So we have a 3-way tie. So I guess what we'll do then is we'll send out to a poll. Fuck it, let's do it. We've never done it before, but like, we're gonna let you, the people, decide what the call of the season is. Is it the FAI for their bumbling ineptitude? Is it Barcelona for their bumbling ineptitude? Or is it football Twitter for being cunts? You decide at home on Twitter. Shit, I didn't actually think it's true. Okay, we'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post. Anyway.
Well, they have to get the Champions League trophy off of Muller. Is that Muller's head?
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like it would only be Muller.
He's 21.
That is Muller.
Is it? All right, then. Cool.
Can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to finish off this part 2 podcast with a really fun segment I like to call Transfer Market Sweep. I have genuinely called that so I can use the supermarket sweep jingle. That's the only reason I'm doing this. So,
yay!
So what I'm going to do is, right, this is a relatively quick fire round where we're going to go down the league, the 17 clubs that survived and the 3 new ones, and we're going to suggest one player they should sign. And again, if we don't have one for our team, we'll just move on because we're not going to fucking waste time on Burnley as we have been all podcasts. Like, I mean, we've been just talking nothing but Burnley for the last year. Like, you know, I mean, they've got enough. Like, so let's start off with the champions then. Start off with Liverpool. If you had to buy one player for Liverpool, who would it be and why?
Okay, not a player. I'm going to buy them respect for the women's team.
You can't really put a price on that. You'll have to talk to John Henry about that. That's a conspiracy. That is. You have to.
Yeah, if I were Liverpool, I would pile heavy. I would roll dirty in for a quick, pacey striker, probably like Aubameyang. Aubameyang in front of that, kind of playing off of that with Firmino in the 10 right behind him, with Mane and Salah on the wings, would be a strike force that you could pretty much dominate football for the next 2-3 years with.
Interesting. I have not factored in Aubameyang. Now, that being said, my initial thought process, what you said there, was like, ooh, Aubameyang's nice, but Son.
Son's good, but like Son's Son's, as we've said before, like he's a pure counter attacker. So he's only really good when you're just relentlessly turning the ball over like Spurs are.
Yeah.
Because they're gash. So yeah, but look, Son would be a good call as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say Rachel Littlejohn for Liverpool women.
We were fucking in with her recently.
Yeah, well, she used to play for you, so I thought she might have gone back because she's out of contract with West Ham. But she just got signed to the newly formed professional Leicester City Women.
Ooh.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's a scout.
And they're putting out a pretty good go of it. They're looking to get promotion to the WSL 1 this year. So, yeah, they've got a couple of big signings, and she was one of their star signings announced today.
Very good.
But I honestly thought she would go to them, and I thought that would have been a really good fit because you'd have Niamh Fahey, the new Liverpool women's captain.
Yeah.
Hooking up with Rachel Littlejohn with some nifty through balls and scoring some goals, which you were lacking last season. But no, not working out. In terms of that shitty men's team, then I was actually thinking Maitland-Niles would be quite good for you.
Interesting. What has you saying that? Just as a utility player?
As a utility player who can slot in for the likes of Milner, who is a utility player.
Interesting. I'm surprised at that now. I would not have considered him. And he's certainly not on the Liverpool radar because, Thiago. That's all we're looking at.
Yeah.
And again, right, so I've got 2 kind of answers for this, and I'll let you guys decide which is the best one. I have a sensible signing, and I've got a banter signing, all right? So my sensible signing is Ben White. Have you heard of him?
Nope.
Okay, so he was on loan with Leeds last season, and he played in their back 3 defence with Marcelo Bielsa, right? He's actually a Brighton player. He's been on loan with Leeds last season, and like he's rated as he's a fucking serious defender. But I watched from the Leeds match I've seen of him play. Like I immediately went like you know the kind of weird way you get like a kind of a football flashback. And I saw him and just thought, that's fucking Sammy Hyypiä. He plays exactly the same way as Hyypiä. He's like 6'4", clears the ball, and somehow can still run with the ball as well. He's exactly the same type of player. A player who I fucking loved as a child as well. And now, thankfully, we are really interested in him because Klopp adores him. He thinks he's hot shit. And since we just sold off Lovren, we do have a opportunity at centre back that we're either going to promote from inside, which either Van den Berg or Nate Phillips, or we're going to sign in. And White is one of the guys we're competing with Leeds. Now we're kind of floating about. We're not too sure whether to go now or like next season or the season after, because of the coronavirus. But I'd say we should bend over backwards for this, because as we're learning from a lot of the other Premier League teams around us, they're all signing in attack. They're all trying to get forwards in. But like there is that old tenet of like defenses win you leagues, and like if there's a market for defenders that no one's tapping into, do that. Tap into defenders, because you now have like if you look at our those defenders we could have, you have Van Dijk there, who's in a very good prime of his life, Joe Gomez, Joel Matip, and potentially Ben White. All of them are under 25, and those are your 4 defenders for the next 10 years potentially. Like you don't have to touch centre backs for the next 10 years. Imagine how fucking beautiful that is if you're Liverpool. That, like the one crisis position we've had for nearly a decade, done. Not even more than done. You are done for fucking 10 years. Like that's the one I go for. Banter signing, on the other hand, is Coutinho. Offered him Wijnaldum in a swap deal, and we pay no money for Coutinho. It's straight up swap for Coutinho for Wijnaldum, and we get him back for nothing. In fact, if anything, Barcelona have paid us £165 million to bring back Coutinho. That's my banter signing. So I'm gonna go with Coutinho on that one.
Cool. That sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I always go with banter.
Yes. So Man City then. How on earth will the plucky underdogs of Manchester City defeat the horrendous American tyrants of Liverpool Football Club?
With a centre back. And they really need somebody like Upamecano.
Yeah, damn it.
That was funny. I was going to say Upamecano too, because
okay, so we're all in agreement with that.
Or Koulibaly, there is the one they're going for. But I think I look at Upamecano. He's slightly younger, I think.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, 21.
And I reckon they'll get more time out of him, and he just seems to play in a way that will fit the Premier League better.
He does remind me of Company.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for. That's why they think Koulibaly is that player, because he plays similar to them, I guess. But yeah, no, I'd endorse that. I think Upamecano is a solid shout, but hopefully they don't sign anyone of his quality. Chelsea, Frank Lampard's Chelsea. Who wants to start? Where do you start with them?
Lampard's Chelsea. Well, the thing is, they need defenders as well.
Yes,
I'd go with Koulibaly or Upamecano for them as well. That defense is garbage. It's really, really trash. And the issues with Kepa can be coached out of him. But you need that defense to kind of help. You need the defense to help him out. Because no goalkeeper in that scenario is going to be putting up much better numbers than him. Yeah, I'd go with the same as well. They need good centre backs. They need commanding centre backs. Because the one thing, the one major deficiency about Kepa that could be coached in, but it's something he's never ever had, so I doubt anybody's tried to, is that he doesn't command the box with crosses and shit like that. So the defense has no confidence in him. And what you need is a shit hot centre back to just go, right, any balls that come in, I'm going to smash them.
Yeah,
you deal with the rest.
Joke, yeah. For me, I was going to focus on the goalkeeping aspect. And from conversations that I've had with Chelsea fans, they are incredibly desperate to sign.
I thought we were going to say Dent.
But they're obviously they are convinced they're going to go for Oblak, which is not happening.
No.
Nick Pope is a more obvious choice, but I think the shrewd choice is Dean Henderson.
Are you sure now? Because United, that'd be a good choice for them if they could get him, but United would not let him go because De Gea's gone right off the fucking boil as well. Also due to the fact that their defense is fucking garbage.
Garbage as well, yeah.
But he's also letting in a lot of shots as well. So Henderson's there. Henderson's seeing his choice that like if he puts in a good solid preseason, he might get some good games. He'll definitely get all the cup games for United. He could. He's looking at within a season or two, the new United number one.
Yeah, it looks like that way, doesn't it? That was kind of like literally like a cheeky kind of steal move if you can make it happen. Curious enough, as we're talking about Chelsea, I've just got an alert there that they're signing Thiago Silva.
Yeah, 1 year deal.
Yeah, so that ticked off, I guess.
Not really. He's 36, and he's
I know. He's there to play the John Terry role. He'll be there in a tracksuit celebrating the FA Cup win or something. What would you say, Burkwell? Have you got any Chelsea shouts?
I was going to go with centre back there as well, but again, from my time watching the Bundesliga, one of the players that has stood out for me kind of who is this guy? He's quite good. I like him. Nicholas Stark from Hertha Berlin.
Oh, a great shout. Stark is really, really good.
I really like him, and I was kind of hoping Arsenal would go for him, but I feel like he has that kind of he's quite good at dealing with crosses and stuff, which I feel like Chelsea don't have because Kepa has that weakness in him that he doesn't command his defensive line like that. Yeah. So I would go with him.
No, that's a cracking shout. Well done. No, I'm really, really happy with that. That's a great shout. No, fantastic.
I don't want him to get them, but
no, obviously, yeah. But if you had to pick, this is what I'm putting you on the spot here. Okay, moving on. Next in the top four then is Man United. A very similar story to Chelsea. I think we just said there. I was going to focus on the left back. I think they should look for a solid replacement for Luke Shaw. Actually, it's more adequate, more so, I suppose, competition now for Brandon Williams at this rate. Shaw's bollocks. He's always been bollocks, in fairness. I think they should have a cheeky bid in for Chilwell, in my opinion. I think he's the kind of player they're looking for.
Maybe. I reckon that they probably won't get him ahead. I wouldn't have gone for Chilwell. I'd agreed that they needed a left back because he's been at the Ranchers hamburgers too much. So he's completely scrubbed. I would have gone for a player that I've mentioned before, the fucking Sevilla left back.
Reguilon, good shout.
Sergio Reguilon.
That's good. That's a decent shout too, yeah. Because again, Real Madrid are not too fond of him either because they want to try and loan him back out again to get the season. So that's a good show. Burpa, have you got any for United? Harry Maguire on bail, perhaps.
Baba.
Okay.
Baba Rahman. Oh, yeah. So we're all going for left backs there. Interesting.
Yeah, well, I was kind of thinking maybe someone to replace Pogba, but I don't think that's going to happen. And Luke, as soon as you reminded me of Luke Shaw being so shit, I was like, oh yeah.
As long as when I reminded you of Luke Shaw existing.
Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, but when Luke Shaw's a left back, you always need a left back.
That's fair. That's a fair show. Okay, that's good. So we all went for left back there for Man United. Here's an interesting one: Leicester City. Sharktooth. What should he go for?
I'm gonna go controversial here.
Oop.
Lacazette.
Oh yes, they do need firepower.
Wow! Imagine him and Vardy. Tasty deal. Tasty deal.
He likes to have pacey people around him. Yeah.
That is a spicy meatball. That's a spicy meatball. What about yourself, Neil? You imagine Lacazette?
Ooh, yeah, I'll go with that as well. That's some tasty shit right there.
Okay. Again, funny enough, I was going to jump onto this striker deal as well not because of Vardy aging, because I don't think it's with the amount of sugar in his system. I don't think he can age.
The amount of port, yeah.
If anything, he'll cure. So it's actually Iheanacho you'd want to replace as a second striker because, like Brendan, the one thing I do know about him, he loves playing a diamond 4-4-2, and really the only reason he's not doing it at Leicester because this second striker isn't there. So I would put in a cheeky bid for Odsonne Edouard from Celtic, who was very, very prolific.
Aren't Villa going in for him?
30 million, yeah, apparently. So he is on the market. Actually, do you know what? I'll scrap that. Right.
He also does have the prerequisite shit hairdo.
No, I'm actually going to go over somewhere else there. Alfredo Morelos from Rangers. I think he would be a solid shout because he'd bring just crazy back to the Premier League. Like
he is batshit.
He is mental. So yeah, we'll go for Alfredo Morelos for Leicester there. Now this is a tough one, lads. I'm not expecting much from this. Spurs. I don't see them signing anyone outside of the two they have. I can't think of anything like. Okay, I'm thinking a deputy to Kane. That's what I'm thinking here. So, they're probably going to go for someone old because that's what Spurs do now. Fuck it, I say they go for Deeney. I know we had him on for transfer go further on, but he's the only one I can actually really see them signing.
Aren't they apparently linked with Maitland-Niles?
Supposedly, yeah, for 20 million.
Yeah.
Maybe. No, if they want a good backup to Kane, maybe they go for a forward. Maybe probably Origi.
Origi, ooh! Now we would really shaft him on the price now. In fairness,
yeah.
Now, as we are going to with Origi anyway, because he's a bit of a if you're going to take our cult heroes, you're going to have to pay for it. But Origi's a decent shout now. He is a very good squad player. I'll give him that. Maybe not for Liverpool in future, but for certainly a Premier League team, he'll do a job for them. But Origi's a decent shout too. Have you got anything, Burko, or are you going to stick to Maitland-Niles?
No, I don't want them to get Maitland-Niles, and I don't know what he would do for them.
He's a spy.
Takes
on the club from the inside.
I don't know, Agent Niles. I honestly don't know enough about the Spurs team other than they're who's. I suppose they need someone who's good at buying dives and buying frees. So Grealish.
Grealish seems like an obvious one. Yeah, so we'll put him down for that. Wolves. How about Wolves?
Wolves.
Well, you Google search Wolves, and the grown-ups will make an answer. Here's one for you, right? Here's one for you. What if Wolves signed Sarr from Watford?
Ismail Sarr, yeah, he'd be fantastic for them.
Oh my god, the crossover I never wanted.
Is this a crossover episode? No, shut up. My brain can't take this many W's. Sarah would be my shout, I think. Either way, unless that or they find a number 10 or make a number 10 from their squad. That's the only thing I can think of, really. They do play a certain way.
Yeah, I reckon, Sarah would be a good one. They could probably go for... Oh, Jesus. I'm trying to think for this.
Because they have a very good squad as it is. I feel like I don't want to touch them because they're just grand the way they are in a weird way.
I reckon they'd be really good with Maitland-Niles in there because he's got the energy to keep energy and the technique. Sorry, he's got the energy and the engine to keep up with the rest of that squad, but he's got a natural talent and technique level that's actually a notch or two above what they've got. So I reckon it'd be good for them to get in and help everybody kind of raise their game.
That's a decent shout. A decent shout. Yeah, good. Burpa's still reading there, so we'll move on then to.
Just trying to figure out if it's Watford.
I'm trying to think of your man's name. The right back, the Portuguese right back for Dortmund.
Guerrero. Rafael Guerrero. Yeah.
I go with him because he's Portuguese, and Wolves, as I see here, love Portuguese players.
That is genuinely true. That is literally the only thing you know about Wolves is that they're Portuguese.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good talk. Arsenal. Right. This is a fun one.
Oh.
Who should Arsenal go for?
Ceballos.
Okay.
We really do need to sign him. Just bite the bullet and just fucking pay the money. Either him or that the other guy we've been linked with, our.
Yes, Auer is a very strong candidate. Like I seen what I've seen of him in the Champions League. Such a fucking vibe of Fekir off him before Fekir like died a death with his knee. And he does look like the kind of player you need in that midfield, like just a marauder, just take the ball, run.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would probably endorse Auer. Although I am going to go for someone else. I think you guys should do as much as you can to sign Thiago.
Oh, Thiago.
Yeah. I think you lads need Thiago more than we do. Now, granted, by all accounts, it looks like we have dibs on him, either not this season or the next. But like, if he's only going for 30 million, you can afford that in comparison to whoever else you're going for. Get him. Your midfield needs creativity, and the band is born creativity. Like that's what he does, you know. So like, out of all the teams in the world that needs a player like him, I think Arsenal are desperate for it. So yeah, do as much as you can to get him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do like him. I do like him, and I have no issues if we are able to sign him. But yeah, if we were going to get someone completely new and surprising and fun, I'd say Denise O'Sullivan for the Arsenal women. I would like to see it.
No, cracking signing though, in fairness.
Lord, no, that squad needs depth.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Now we had a conversation before this podcast during the week about Wijnaldum doing a job for you in the Arsenal midfield.
Oh yeah, that's the one I was thinking. Yeah, for the men's team, for that shitty men's team. Yeah, I'll go with Wijnaldum. I think that's the kind of player we kind of need. Someone decent in midfield.
Just someone with a pair of fucking balls. Let's be fair. Like that's what he does. That's what he's good at. And someone who doesn't give away fouls like Xhaka. He actually does play football in the midfield. You know, I just want to stress that again for anyone from Liverpool who are listening in. He actually plays football like he's paid to do. Anyway, now, again, another tricky one, lads. Sheffield United. I don't really have anything for this one.
Oh.
I think they need firepower. I'd say they'd be happy enough to sign like Lacazette.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm surprised Lacazette, would he go down the league that much? That's what I'm kind of curious about.
No. But like you're just saying, like this is just spitballing. Like if they could sign anybody, I was like, yeah, they'd probably be better off like going. They need firepower. You know, they absolutely fucking need it. Maybe they could go in for the Celtic and Rangers guys.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, I might endorse Edward on that one because he seems like a very fluid player.
Well, it has to be to deal with overlapping centre backs. You know, kind of deal with the fact that it's his centre back that's slinging in the cross to him, and he's like, "The fuck are you doing up here?"
Yeah. No, actually, do you know what? I'll tell you who I'll sign on this one is our youngster Brewster. It looks like the thing about him is that if Origi is leaving, he's staying, and if Origi is staying, he's leaving on loan. Obviously, now I think we'll get another year out of Origi, and then he's going to Pastures New. Whereas with us, we're trying to find the right club for him to go to score goals. And really, your Ireland's looking for a club that needs a striker like him. So he's going to be mentioned a few times coming up. But I think Brewster is a solid shout for Sheffield because, like, if you're learning from like such a complicated, like, but really cool system like Sheffield, you're doing well, you know. And if you can hit the ground running, you're proving how talented you are, and it's just making your life at Liverpool a whole lot easier. So I go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Burkwell, have you any Irish players you want at Sheffield United?
No, I was going to say Lacazette, but maybe I was trying to think of his name. Parrott.
Oh,
yes, Paris.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. He's gone to Millwall on loan, but again, there's always January. You can always cancel the loan. I think he'd be a great shout though because he's a fucking solid target man.
Didn't John Egan sign a contract extension with them?
Yes,
5 years, yeah.
Yeah, fair play to him.
Oh.
Good stuff, lads. Good stuff. Okay, Burnley.
What do Burnley need?
What is Burnley?
Well, essentially, they need to replace Hendrick because they've lost Hendrick, haven't they?
And Defoe, yeah.
Yeah, so they need a wide player and a central midfielder. So
Grealish.
yeah, if they could get Grealish, they'd be delighted.
Like, it's obviously not going to happen, but
No.
like, this is our who would do well at this club? Probably Grealish.
That would be a steal.
He would still get to be a big fish in a small pond. He probably would get battered for wearing his socks the way he does, but
yeah, Sean Dyche actually eat him.
Actually, I'd go with Sarr would be good on there for them. Sarr.
Oh, that would be tasty. Yeah, that would be tasty. Yeah, it's a tough one for me. I'm not that like I know of the Burnley side, but I don't know of them personally. So I probably I think a central midfielder would do the job. I'll go with Will Hughes from Watford, because I think he was hard done by leaving, so I think he'd be a decent shout.
Because he's on fire.
He is on fire. No, that's another guy you're thinking of.
Oh yeah, it's not him.
But it's Will Grigg you're thinking of.
Will Grigg, yeah.
Yes. So let's moving on then to Liverpool Juniors, or Southampton as we like to call them. They've got a few holes in the team now. In fairness, like you can kind of like they have invested in defense and midfield already. So where else do you think they could do well in?
Southampton.
Yes.
Hang on, I've just accidentally hit the DPI on my mouse.
That's a bad sign.
No, it just means that the mouse cursor then just flies all over the kip.
Also bad.
Southampton. They need a right back. They absolutely fucking need a right back. So, name a decent right back.
I was just going to say Colin Chambers.
Yeah, Chambers is a good shout.
Chambers is a good one.
As a CM.
Yeah, I think he's a lot better as a DM. He'd be a great replacement for Højbjerg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
that Valerie guy that they have is not up to it.
No, I don't think so.
And they got Salisu coming in as well, don't they?
They do have Salisu coming in. Yeah, he's a centre back, so they got that covered.
Yeah, they need a right back. They could probably get Chambers.
I'll go. Who I was going to go for? Max Aarons from Norwich. I think he could. I think he'd be a decent prospect for them. Looks like a player who can develop, and someone that can sell on for big dosh later on. So I think that'd be a good shout for them. And I think that's the lot for. I think you both went for Chambers there, so that's good. Yeah. Right, another really hard one, lads. Everton. How the fuck do you cure this Everton?
Oh, where do you start?
Everton, by the way, who were 3-0 down to Blackpool after 30 minutes in a preseason.
They pulled that one back though, didn't they?
To 3-3. That night in Blackpool.
Basically, they just need an entirely new midfield.
They need everything.
Yeah.
They need a new midfield. They need cover for their fullbacks. Hang on.
Maitland-Niles.
Yeah, to play all of these positions.
All of them.
But what I would say they really do need, because they can cash in on their existing one for a bit of money, is they need a new goalkeeper. They need to get rid of Pickford. I reckon they should go for maybe Pope or Henderson. Now, they probably would get Henderson. Pope, they could probably snag Pope.
They might snag Pope because Burnley are stuck for money apparently. So they might do that.
If the only thing that's decent somehow about Everton is that they got cash and they've got Carlo Ancelotti.
If I was to throw in a good keeper for a team to buy, Trapp from Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yeah.
He is a solid goalkeeper.
Very, very
he
good.
Is, yeah. He is a good show. I'll actually second that, and I'll go for another goalkeeper I think is quite decent and hasn't really been ranked that well. Alex Meret. He's one of the Napoli goalkeepers. He's a deputy to Ospina at the moment. But really doesn't. He always it's a weird thing about him. He's a really good goalkeeper. He's always seems to be number 2 at the clubs he's at, because he was the same with Juve and Udinese, strangely, and then at like Napoli. He's always the deputy. It's like, let him go. Let him be wander free. Actually, I'll replace that because I realised who I was actually talking to about there. Sergio Romero, Man United backup. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
But he never seems to get a game. So I'd say
he's quite good, yeah.
With Henderson now in the fold, I'd say like if they're going to keep him, Romero has to go to pastures new.
He definitely does. I mean, it's like they can't. He only just barely put up with being number 2, and he only did it because he was number 2 to De Gea, who at that point was killing it. Now De Gea's gone off. If De Gea's gone totally off the boil, and they're just going to go right, we'll just slot in Henderson while De Gea gets his head back together. Romero, you can stick around as the number 3. He's going to go, fuck, I am not being a third string keeper. Fuck that shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's going to want to go. Yeah.
Yeah. No, nailed on. Okay, moving on then. Newcastle. Tricky one, this one, because they're not going to spend any fucking money this summer.
Well, they've been too busy trying to get themselves sold. Fuck selling any players. They've been trying to sell the club.
Yeah.
So yeah. They need firepower.
Yeah.
They'd be actually, in all fairness, they'd be good going for like one of our strikers, like
Lacazette.
Like if anyone could get, like if anyone could get him, they've gotten like the Longstaffs have actually signed contract extensions.
They have, yeah.
You know, but the thing is, they need 2 strikers.
They do. It needs at least 2.
They've just got no goals. There's no goals. Like, and the thing is that they've got, you know, they've actually got their midfield somewhat bolted together. They've got their shit together.
Yeah, they got the workings of a good midfield there, and Jeff Hendrick coming in then to like put the whole thing together. So
you know, and they've got Saint Maximum there. Dubravka's a solid goalkeeper. You know?
Yeah. I think again, I think Bruce. I quite like Steve Bruce for nurturing young players. So I'd really like him to give Brewster a year. And I think he's actually quite nice enough to give him a year as well. Like he does.
See, the thing is, I don't think like Newcastle really do need shit. Like they need people to come in for 4 years, like on a 4-year deal, and really like devote themselves to the black and white. Like they really do need proper fucking players who will stick around. They can't run with lone strikers. It doesn't work. Leeds tried it and it did not work.
True. Yeah.
Because anybody who lights it up at Newcastle, they're not going to be able to sign. So yeah, I reckon they could take a chance on some really decent strikers. Like there's a whole host of like out of form strikers who just need a shitload of game time.
Well, Callum Wilson maybe.
Yeah.
Or Pookie.
Yeah, Pookie might do it.
If we're talking about really young prospects and stuff, Lillian Thuram's son, Marcus Thuram.
Oh, if they can get him, they're doing well.
Like that, like, but I was like, I think he's actually quite a lot better than Newcastle standards, and maybe for one of the higher teams up the league could be an option. But yeah, no. Again, I'm just kind of looking back over my Bundesliga stats, and I was like, oh yeah, him. He was class.
No, Thuram's a decent shout, like, because again, he'd be another one they could like get maybe on a loan, and then they get someone more. Like, if they are getting 2 strikers, they get someone experienced like on a permanent deal, and then get someone young as a kind of the counterweight. So no, that's possible. I think it's the same story here for Crystal Palace, isn't it? Like the strikers they need, like someone who can actually put the ball in the goal and not around the goal. Isn't it? Like it's the same story with them.
You get in the goal, Kuka. Their goal, not our goal.
I think this club is made for Troy Deeney.
I don't think so, because I think I look at that squad and I think it's too fucking old.
That's fair.
So you know, I'd say like, you know, they could probably like fork out for Brewster. Like, you know, I mean, they wouldn't be able to buy him because Klopp seems to be wedded to him.
Yes, that is true.
So yeah, like, but they need everything in every position. Like, you know, they need, you know, I would start with a decent midfield. I would say they could probably get that Sanguisa guy off Fulham.
Anguissa, yeah. Well, I think he's going back to Villarreal, but yeah, like if he can stag him, all good and well. He seems to have done well.
He's a superb midfielder, and he's somebody they can build around.
That's fine. I think I'm going to focus on that. I think they have really terrible goalkeepers, personally. I've seen Gaeta and Hennessy, and I just think like they're not Premier League keepers. They're pretty bad, you know. And I think it's because like the league currently has quite serviceable keepers at really low clubs. So when I see them comparatively, you know, I think they should go for one. So I'm going to go for Ben Foster. I think he's a great pair of hands. I think he's a solid keeper. He hasn't deteriorated really, with age. Like if you can get him on a cheap deal, fucking get him in. I think he's a cracking keeper.
Enough,
yeah. Okay, so Brighton's a tough one as well.
So
like. Like for what they are, they have a very decent like squad, but like it's just what are they lacking? If you know what I mean. Like I don't.
Okay. Again, this may shock you, but I'm gonna say Maitland-Niles.
Yeah, Maitland-Niles I think makes sense here. It does.
Yeah.
Like he's a good player.
I think he's actually linked with them.
Yeah, I think they are one of the. They are one of the clubs that are looking at getting him in, so I think that is a chance. I think again, I'll probably have to jockey back on the Maitland-Niles one. I don't really see anything else they can really improve on. I will say they've done a fucking great deal getting Lallana in. Just like if you can keep him fit, he's such a good player on his day.
Yeah,
like, he's just so talented, and like it is such a shame that like he didn't really get as much of a chance in the last few years because of the injuries and so forth. But it just the standard of the squad he just couldn't keep up with, you know. So I think they just done great business just getting him in anyway.
I think that's a good shout. Yeah, I think Maitland-Niles for it. Then.
Yeah, I think they will agree with that as well. I think Maitland-Niles all round for Brighton. West Ham. Again, where do you start with them? Because there's a lot of places they can work, they can do better on. It's troublesome.
God, there's so many fucking shite hawks in that team.
This is the trouble.
I think they need a really, really sturdy midfield. I feel like they try and do transition play, but it just doesn't work out.
Yeah. So you're looking for kind of a counter-attacker more so.
Yeah, but I don't know who that would be. Maybe Grealish again, if we're gonna go with.
I actually have one for you on this one. Callum McGregor from the Celtic side is a very, very good player on the counter. He was, I think, Rodgers wanted to sign him for Leicester last season, and he got priced out of it, which is weird for Celtic. But he's very much like Stuart Armstrong for Southampton, more or less the same player. So, like, if they could get him in, I think he'd be a great signing for him for that West Ham side, as it were. So I can offer you McGregor for that one if you want.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll go with that. I'll take your word on that one because,
No, he's a good signing. For me, I was going to focus on their centre backs, and I think West Ham really do need that type of like Issa Diop is a good player inherently. So I would say, like, if they're going to go with that, get someone in who can kind of temper that a bit. And I think a natural signing would be Chris Smalling.
Oh.
I think that's his level now. I think, like, West Ham is his level. I think he can kind of stake claim to, like a position in a team like that. And with his time in Roma, he's fucking reinvented himself. He looks really good in the Italian league. Now, for what it's worth, I think he's going to go back to Roma myself permanently. But if West Ham can hijack a deal, I think they should, personally.
Okay, that sounds good.
So, Neil,
then just Rob Holding.
On loan? Yes, maybe. Yeah, that's a decent shout. Because, you have plenty of them as it is. So maybe share the love a bit. That's grand. So we'll move on then to Aston Villa. Tough on this one. I think, like, striker, just for the love of God, sign one. Like, how are you finding this so difficult to have all the ingredients of a counter-attacking team and not have a striker? It makes no sense. The obvious candidate for me is the one they got promoted with, Tammy Abraham. Because let's face it, they've got Werner now. Giroud's the deputy. Abraham's only game time. Put in a cheeky bid, see what happens. You might even get him permanently.
Giroud, because Giroud is older, the older prospect.
And is fairly prolific still.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's two decent shouts there. What about yourself, Neil? What do you think of the Villa side?
Yeah, they just need a centre forward. They keep spending money on like flops up front, and they've no fucking goals whatsoever. They keep fishing around in these fucking shitty Turkish leagues for gambles that don't work. So,
Origi?
Yeah. Origi's a great show. Yeah, I think Origi would be a great show as well. I don't know if he'll get the goals to keep them up, but he'd give it a good fucking go, I'd say. Like, I think he would. It's just a matter of like if it'll work out for him or not. And then we get to the promoted sides. This is the interesting one. If you were to sign one player for Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds, who would it be and why?
They need another striker.
They need it.
We can give them Marlo Stansfield again.
Yeah, actually give them Nketiah on a permanent. They need a proper striker. They need a striker of Premier League capability. Actually, to be honest with you, Deeney would probably work for them. Just somebody up front that they could hit balls to. And also somebody who could actually give, like, somebody who could be a bit of a dickhead.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, it's Marcelo Bielsa, so, like, they've got, like, the master. But, like, somebody who can grind shit out on that pitch. Like, I don't like Deeney. I hate him. I think he's a cunt. But, yeah. So they need somebody up front with Premier League. Actually, fucking maybe Giroud might go actually well with them.
Giroud I'd be fascinated to see Giroud playing in a Bielsa team. That would be interesting. Considering. What would you say, Burkball? Who would you like to replace Bamford with?
Literally anyone else. I was thinking maybe Giroud, but maybe Laka.
It'd be a fucking great loan signing. I'll be honest. Like, he does play in the pocket quite well. I'll go on for you.
He
right?
has that. He's got that bit of a dickish attitude to him that, like, he puts in the tackles, he puts in the work rate off the ball. So yeah.
This is what I was going to discuss with my pick. This is left field, but when I say it, you'll go, yes, this will work. If Bielsa forwards are not traditional, like they make space for everyone else. So their main prongs of attack are the wide players like Costa and Harrison and the fullbacks, and then the marauding midfielders. You want someone to link all that together and to make spaces for other players. There is one player who does that already in the Premier League to great effect, David McGoldrick.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine David McGoldrick learning under the Marcelo Bielsa tree and potentially scoring more goals than Bamford? Like, he might not score goals full stop, but he's creating goals generally for that team. Like, I think he'd be a fucking smashing signing if you get him.
Yeah, that's a great shout. That is a great shout.
Or alternatively, Shane Long did the exact same job.
Yeah. I like Shane Long where he is.
I know you do. Yes. Let's not go there. West Brom. This is a tough one because for me, West Brom are destined to go down, so it doesn't really matter who they sign. For me, they're a championship side still. I don't really know who you could give to them to help them.
I don't know I don't know anything about them.
Yeah,
like this is gonna be like Watford are gone and they're just been replaced by West Brom.
Yeah, I know it's more or less the same. For what it's worth, like they're managed by Slaven Bilic, who was a West Ham manager for a spell.
Yeah.
You've got Charlie Austin as their main striker. Livermore. They have a youngster called Dara O'Shea who's doing really good stuff for them at the moment and will likely get called up to the Ireland squads next week. So he's a very good player for them. They've lost their right back to Palace, actually. Just before the end of the season, so they could be looking for someone in that front. I have a few decent, interesting, young players. They signed Matheus Pereira on a permanent deal. He was their playmaker last season. Ultimately, they're just a very functional side, but like, where do you start to improve them? You know, I don't really have any suggestions.
I have no suggestions. I don't know what they're like. I can't help you there.
You could probably go in and like, again, goals are always good to invest in. They could probably go like for Pookie or somebody like that.
Pookie or that
or that Stepperman, you know, who was Pookie's kind of wingman.
Yeah, no, I think Pookie's a good shout there. Joe, just for the crack, let's get Phil Jones to West Brom. Come on, like that's gonna be fun, isn't it? Like just watch him go, just every now and then, like, you know, because we're not gonna.
Oh my god! Let's get Gnabry back to them.
Actually, here's one for you. What if he shifted Mustafi out to West Brom?
Sure.
Yeah,
Socrates.
There we go. Oh wow, yeah, Socrates and Bilic.
Give them the two of them. 2 for 1 deal.
No. So last but not least, then is Scott Parker's Fulham.
I have one.
I have one as well.
Callum Chambers.
Fuck yeah, that was mine. I was gonna say, like, he was brilliant for them when they were in the Premier League last season.
Yeah.
Like, Scott Parker gets Callum Chambers. It just seemed to work. Like, I'd never seen someone just like take to a position so quickly than him at Fulham. It's so bizarre. And like, even now since Fulham have gone away, like, he doesn't seem to even have a home at Arsenal. I know he's been injured and all that, but still, like, it just didn't seem right now that he's out of that team. So yeah, no, I say, like, get Callum permanently, like, make him your star signing, because I think like,
I wanted to initially
around him. Yeah, no, I think that he's the man to get. Like, if anything, he's the only one you should get.
Yep.
That is it. So Scott, if you're watching, I know you do. Sign Callum Chambers. Announce Chambers now. That's what we're asking for here. And that's it. That is our transfer market sweep. Quite a lot of interesting signings there. I don't know. I'm going to keep this list and see which ones come true. I'm not expecting a lot. I'm going to be honest, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, like that is a double header show then. When we come back then on the football podcast, we're going to be previewing the Premier League, because as of the time of recording, it's about 2.5 weeks away, lads.
And there's a game next week.
And there's a game next week.
Yeah.
The Charity Shield, which we will both have a very big interest in. I think it's fair to say.
No, we won't.
As we see who has the best youth academies.
No, it'll be a competition to see who puts out the most banter team.
Yes, that's it. We're gonna get a fucking Robbie Fowler out of the mothballs just for one more game. You can get Ray Parler out. Like, we can do that. We can do a Legends game, right? Like, there's no rules against it. So we can do it that way. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to these two podcasts. If you have, give us a follow on Monday Madness LP to keep track of everything that we're doing on podcast wise, stream wise, all that sort of stuff. And of course, our videos on YouTube, which you can subscribe on at either Monday Madness or on our side channel, Nerds Are Us, which you may be indeed listening to this podcast on. So, from me and Neil.
And me.
And Burkbot. I was going to say to you, Burkbot. I was going to go Neil, Baby Aaron, then Burkbot. I was going to give you last billing. But no, that's fine. We'll just if you want to interrupt, that's okay. You know, you can do the outro instead.
Yay!
You do the outro now.
Bye, guys. Fuck y'all.